Good afternoon. Right. Okay, I have been introduced as Ndabaga, and we are not going to waste any time. You were told that one of the speakers for this session is not here, and that is Dr. Sirote. So the person that we have is the first one, Professor Eugene Ndabaga from University of Rwanda, to expand our horizons now. Professor Ndabaga is going to speak for 20 minutes, and then the discussant will have 10 minutes. There is no need to introduce them. So I immediately hand over to Professor Ndabaga.
Thank you very much. Welcome back from the South, and welcome to East Africa. Of course, the time is very short, but I will try to be as brief as I possibly can. Usually, when I talk to some of my friends who are politicians, I always tell them, please don't always refer to the past, colonialism. Better ask what you yourself have you done, whether 50 years of independence or 40 years. You ask yourself, what have you done? However, sometimes you can't avoid the past because we build on the past. So let me briefly take you back to some of you probably you may not know what Rwanda is and what it's all about, but probably just on TVs and genocide, which is unfortunately one of the things that put Rwanda on the map negatively. So why are we excited in Rwanda to carry out this research on social cohesion? Is very, very, very important for Rwanda, because Rwanda, in a unique way, is a country that was colonized by 3 countries. Very funny. At first was Germany, briefly. Later on, Belgium. And finally, France settled in. And within this confusion of colonial masters, many things cropped up. In the first place, Rwanda was a kingdom. And typical of any kingdom, structures were there. And so all these ocean of colonial masters had to come and grip the power. How did they want to grip the power? By, of course, working with the king. By that time, they set up schools in Rwanda to train children of the chiefs. What I'm saying is from the research is not a desktop discourse. Those schools, once they were created, the children of the chiefs started going into those schools. But no sooner had they started training children of the chiefs than the king himself, typical of kings, started resisting some of the dictations from the colonial masters. So, intelligent, in quotes, as they were, that is the colonial masters, they changed the hand of the clock. They say, okay, if that's the case, let us create seminaries. Unfortunately, for Catholics who are here, the seminary ethos, as the word has been used, is to train priests, men of God, in quotes. But this time they create seminaries to train now the children of the peasants, the so-called Hutus, because the sons of the chiefs were Tutsis. So once they created these seminaries, they started another ideology. That is that the Tutsis did not originate from Rwanda. They originate from, by that time, Abyssinia. That is the present Ethiopia. And so they were told, look, these are the guys who are torturing you, who are beating you. But remember, the beatings came from the again colonial understanding of forcing the local people to grow cotton, coffee for expectation, to export. And so they say, these are foreigners having power over you. So you should make sure that you eliminate them. Now, that's one of the stated now, if they created the ID system, every Rwandan had an identity card indicating whether a Hutu or Tutsi. You may ask, again briefly, Can you identify, if you came around today, can you identify who's a Tutsi, who's a Hutu? I can guarantee you my head off, you will not. Because in Rwanda, that's very interesting to compare Rwanda and South Africa. Because in South Africa, yes, we support the idea of a rainbow nation, unity and diversity, because it's clear. But in Rwanda, it's not at all. One language, one culture, same color. 100%. Not even directives. Just one language, one culture, one color. So, then you wonder why the ID, where do they base themselves? Eventually, of course, what happened, that kind of division which was created based on the so-called ethnic group, which is very difficult to define what ethnicity is all about. Tribe, yes. Race, yes. But the ethnic is a very, very delicate thing to define, the difference. So, as somebody put it, there was the heavy role of education that started with this discrimination. In seminaries, later on in all schools. Teachers, as agents, played a very big role in this discrimination through curriculum, textbooks, and education system in general. In the curriculum, you could find examples used in terms of ethnicity. That, one of the worst examples I always give, they could say in official curriculum textbooks, if there were 3 Tutsis, I mean 3, and you killed 2, how many are left? It is there if you want to go and check. Now, if you 40 years of teaching young people using that methodology, what do you expect? You expect is 1994 genocide. Because 1994 genocide was just a climax of 40 years plus independence teaching under through that system. And that's what was quite encouraging for us to carry out this research and find out really what is the present government doing as far as sort of mending this situation where social cohesion and peace were totally lost. So, Professor Yusuf reminded us there that politics may keep us away from the war, but the conflicts may persist. And that's what happened in Rwanda. So, once genocide happened against the Tutsi, the present government, according to the findings, we are going to share but briefly due to the time, is that the country is advocating oneness. That is not unity and diversity, because we don't have diversities anyway. We don't have any race, we don't have any color, we don't have any tribe. So, we are talking about one identity, popularly known as Ndu Munyarwanda. Ndu Munyarwanda meaning I am a Rwandan, as opposed to Hutu, Tutsi, Twa, which you are in identities. Of course, academic as you are, and of course international committees may argue that no, you are forcing people to be what the government wants. That's dictatorship. You know, with the problem with academics, you can reason from any angle. But the question is, what happened when everybody had an identity card indicating Hutu, Tutsi? What was the climax? What do you prefer? If you are asked, what would you prefer? So, we are talking about the government program on Rwanda. Those are questions which I'll briefly go through the quantitative part. We asked the findings and see what students and teachers as agents of peace try to guess or to give to us. Now, there are things that are very interesting. Somebody talked about the language issue. This is wonderful example they gave us. How even the language can create and comfort in the society. In Rwanda today, the moment you mention the word ideology, somebody gets shocked. Because now the ideology is automatically attached to genocide. Actually, in Rwanda, you cannot say genocide, I mean ideology, and stop there. You feel like automatically want to say ideology against Tutsi. The word militia against another word that has been misplaced. Militia simply, I usually tell my students when I'm teaching social education that the first militia group were the 12 disciples of Jesus. The question is, the militia during the genocide, what did they come together to do? That word destroyed the word. Now that word in Rwanda is a taboo. You can't even easily mention. And that's why during our research, quite a number of teachers complained from the pedagogy perspective and the cultural perspective that the genocide ideologies, because today the new competent-based curriculum in Rwanda, they're saying, use examples of peace, values, genocide ideologies across the subject. Even if you are teaching mathematics, the way it was used negatively, also now use it positively today. But teachers, majority of them are telling some of these words are too sensitive. Standing in front of the students, talk about genocide ideologies, give examples of peace, we are not comfortable. Because I don't know which kind of students I'm addressing. Some of them are very traumatized. Others, again, somebody asked the issue of the home, the importance of homes working with the schools. Some of the children come from their homes being indoctrinated. Some still, their families believe that this is a Hutu girl, you can't marry that one. So they come to school with those ideas. So teachers find such ideas very, very sensitive. And that's why I'm trying to preempt some of the slides so that you can catch up with time. Some of the issues which were highlighted in the research is the meritocracy. That is in terms of education system. I'm here in South Africa, quanta 1, quanta 5, quanta whatever they mean. In Rwanda, because it's surprising, I can't understand, in Rwanda it cannot be understood how a student or a teacher can decide for himself which school to teach or to go into. What happens? You mark a national exams not knowing even the school you are marking. The school is covered, names are covered. If the school, however wonderful you are, if you are quarter 5, what you do, you say, we want children of these grades. After the results are out, you just find a number of students allocated to your school, depending on their performance. However rich you may be, however whatever you may be. So that kind of meritocracy is what the government is now practicing. To try to heal the wounds. Because in Rwanda before 1994, right from the primary to the university, schools were allocated according to ethnic groups. Percentage. In 1978, that's where they started what they called quota system. Because Tutsis were believed to be 14%, it was 1%, so children would be allocated schools according to their percentages, which again were forged percentages. Today, the meritocracy came in. Decentralization also is another way. Districts have some kind of powers, although central government comes in to make sure that somebody again committed the power of school governance board. Very powerful because they have to help the district to make sure that the schools are run according to the fair system. Now, again, the ethos issue. There's what you call in Rwanda National Electoral Commission. That's the traditional school which comes in to help Rwanda Education Board as far as social cohesion issues are concerned, to help schools and the CPD, which has been discussed at length, to train teachers to handle issues of social cohesion and peace. Because again, there's a big, as far as our findings are concerned, the education system is not doing enough as far as CPD is concerned. And even teachers are complaining of not having proper methodologies to use peace values into any subject. So they don't have those capacities. So these commissions, National Electoral Commission, that's one of the traditional school. They also, Aegis Trust, it's an international NGO. They come in to help to make sure that they supplement what the ministry is doing. So, briefly, this is what I've been, the background I've been giving, whereby we are looking at, we try to examine critically what teachers and teaching supporting education for peace building because of the history and what has been going on. The key areas of focus, these of course look at the policies on the ground. What does the government do to make sure that there is a proper and fertile ground to make sure that social cohesion is built? Of course, we have to look at the initial teacher training, trust accountability, curriculum, textbooks, which have been trying to give out the background. Again, like my friend, I may not be all that good when it comes to this technology. Tom, come and save the situation. Back to part 2. At home, we call some of us, we are BBC, born before computers. Yeah, that, no, the part 2. Yes, yeah. Yes. Okay, now, this is now the context of Rwanda, again, which I've tried to highlight as far as why Rwanda is on the very serious note, in spite of weaknesses here and there, which are quite many, in terms of peace building or social cohesion, is because of this background which I've tried to give you, and the rationale for struggling in terms of different approaches to acquire social cohesion. The policy, why I put these things in red, typical of us, again, academicians, we don't want to emphasize the obvious things that are working. We want to look at the negative side so that the government can do something about it. We say the policies are in place. There is the political will. But if you look at however, a number of things are still missing. Particularly if you look at the inequitable redistribution of education, human and material resources, particularly in rural schools. Here we talk about Quanta 1, I think up to Quanta 3. The same thing to Rwanda. Textbooks, the new ones, 2 years now down the road, in the new curriculum, textbooks are not yet available. Then you wonder which kind of, how will the teacher feel at ease versus the urban schools that can afford that. So the issue of now social cohesion. Lack of structured and the sustainable system of continuous professional development has been discussed. Low enrollment rate of females. Unfortunately, in Rwanda, I think we are best in the world in terms of gender, sometimes you no longer even call it gender, but women empowerment is more of that. But when it comes to education, it's a different story, particularly at the university. Then you wonder where those politicians, now I think they're over 60% in parliament, where are they coming from? Are they there by merit or is by favor? Under the representation of women in educational leadership, particularly in schools. Curriculum, again, don't mind so much about the good things, that's in borrowed. But look at what's missing, because that's where the issue of social cohesion comes in. If they're missing, the good work that the government is doing misses the point. Lack of skills and knowledge of the pedagogical methodologies. How can I put peace education into mathematics, chemistry, much as it was done, but we don't have the capacity. The younger girl over there asked why those teacher training were removed. Lack of teaching materials, short periods, and so forth and so on. Tom, again, it is not moving. It has moved. Key quotes from the data. Now, these are some of the direct questions which you got from the data. The role of teachers to engage learners to be collaborative with their fellow learners and with all Rwandans from all walks of life. Try to prevent violence, and having the skills to deal with it would be good for children. For a Rwandan teacher not including peace values in teaching, the lesson would be incomplete, because when you want to stop mistakes, you talk about them, and all the other quotes that you got from the field. Teacher governance, again, look at the negative side. Participation in educational policies, minimal. Quite often, teachers are called to participate in curriculum designing, policy designing, and other things. If textbooks writing, but at the end of the day, who takes the big share? DFID, UNICEF, UNESCO, plus the politicians. Their views are not really considered. When the books come out, different stories. That's a problem. And the implication lies within lack of real social cohesion. IT, initial teacher education. Again, look at our problems. There is a mismatch between ITE programs and the competence-based curriculum because universities are not fully involved. We are only invited to the so-called validation or meetings. How can you validate something you do not participate in? So, again, the gaps for social cohesion. Now, just briefly look at some of the quantitative findings we had. Learning area where learners felt they learned most about living together. The highest social sciences. That's the problem teachers echoed. How can I use peace examples in mathematics, in chemistry? So this is what students told us. Look at that. Learners' opinion on what best describe what it means to be a Rwandan. The highest, working together to make the country better. Learners' perceptions on what affects most how people live together peacefully. Genocide ideology. This self-explanatory, the experiences Rwandans have gone through gives them a choice. Learners' perception about what can help to make a peaceful society. Helping the needy. This one is a bias. Yeah, terms are good and okay for me. Helping the needy. This is a bias from the government because the government has got many programs that are tending to help the poor people, particularly the genocide survivors. Like what you call one cow per poor family. House, what you call the eradication of grass-thatched houses in the remote areas. So all those government programs. So this could be biased from what the government is doing, also influenced the learners to think that's the best way of living a peaceful environment. Teachers' response on what aspects they're following, they prioritize in their teaching. The highest percentage, equality. What the Rwandans lacked for the last 50 years. When some were called foreigners from different countries and given so many different names. Teachers' perception what topics are most relevant for teaching learners respect and tolerance in line with peace education. Development of self-esteem in society. That's what, if you hear Rwandan programs, what they call agaciro. Agaciro means self-respect or esteem. There's even a special bank whereby Rwandans are encouraged to contribute to have some kind of a special bank for, in case DeFi UNESCO say, no, you cannot give your money until you do this. Then there's where the country can rush to. Teacher trust and accountability, again, look at the red side, or parents are advised not to leave the teachers and the school leadership handle learners alone. This where now teachers, or what PTC, parents teacher committees, or equivalent to SBG, have to play a big role in terms of helping the schools run. However, TTC, or this is the NTC, that's the National Teacher Commission, equivalent to some of our brothers have been here, and the parents teacher committee members view their work as voluntary. So you can imagine somebody who's not paid. Do you expect much work from them? So it reduces their commitment, their level of commitment. More so teachers are hired and they're fired by district. And so, again, somebody mentioned here, PTC have limited power. It's a district that has power to hire and fire the head teacher. And here I've heard SBG have got powers to fire the head teachers. In Rwanda, it's a different story. So SBG remained just a figure. Thank you very much.